Thanks for being here. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General here at PANA. We just wrapped up DOJ's fifth and final immigrant rights regional convening here in San Diego, and PANA hosted us. We're grateful for that opportunity. And we have been in 4 other states prior to this. This is our 5th one. We were in San Francisco, we were in LA, we were in the Central Coast, in Salinas, and also in Sacramento. And every conversation we've had has helped us become more informed and better at our role, enforcing the rule of law, making sure that we're protecting and defending our immigrants, their rights, and their protections. I do quickly want to say I am aware of and I acknowledge the fires that are burning in the Otay Mountains. I know many in the area are watching and with concern, with trepidation, and especially after what we've seen LA endure with their fires. So I do want to say, if you're in the area or know someone who is, I'm thinking about you, and please keep yourself safe. Please monitor all the official channels for alerts and emergency evacuations. If you're told to leave or someone you love is told to leave the area, please follow that order right away. Safety is the top priority here. I also want to say thank you to some of the local elected officials' offices who were represented today. Always proud to work with you and interact and co-create solutions together. We had today staff representing Senator Alex Padilla, Congress members Sarah Jacobs, Mark Takano, and Juan Vargas, Assembly members David Alvarez, Gomez Reyes, and Sharp Collins, and Supervisor Lawson Remer were all here today, representatives from their offices. I want to thank my team as well, my California DOJ Civil Rights Enforcement Section, CREST team, and our Office of Community Awareness, Response, and Engagement, or CARE, who put this event together, as well as all the resources that we've been sharing over the many weeks and months. The teams remain engaged to work with our community leaders. Today is a moment in time and a place and space to come together and discuss issues, but we are committed to working going forward on a go-forward basis as issues come up. While President Trump and his administration threaten our immigrant communities, pursue inhumane immigration policies, and stoke the flames of fear, California DOJ is here to be a constant source of guidance, of reason, of clarity. California DOJ is here to protect, defend, and enforce the rights of all Californians, regardless of their race, nationality, or immigration status, just as we did earlier this week when I sued the president over his unconstitutional and frankly un-American attempt to end birthright citizenship on day one with an executive order after swearing to follow the Constitution. He violated the Constitution. He attacked children and American citizens. He trampled over the Constitution. And he overreached by a mile. And a court agreed. 3 days later, ended or restrained his executive order, saying it was a blatant violation of the Constitution, saying in 4 decades, 40 years of serving on the bench, hadn't seen a question that was so clear that the executive order was unconstitutional, saying his mind was boggled that the DOJ attorneys would even make the arguments that they were making in court. And that's day one. The president made a promise to end birthright citizenship, and I made a promise to haul him into court anytime he violates the Constitution or breaks the law. We deserve a law-abiding president. Not a lot to ask. Follow the law. Follow the Constitution. Don't do things that break the law. He's already, in day one, off on the wrong foot. And honestly, my role will be to only act when he breaks the law. If he follows the law, follows the Constitution, I have absolutely nothing to do. And I would prefer that, to have a president who follows the law. So I don't need to go to court to make sure that he does. But if he doesn't, we will be active as we are in this case and any other case where he breaks the law. And we did this before under the Trump administration 1.0 when we filed 120 lawsuits and won the majority of them. We successfully defended DACA, before the U.S. Supreme Court. We blocked the public charge rule from going into effect. We successfully defended SB 54, California's Values Act. We successfully fought Trump's border wall and saved critical state funding in the process. So we've been here before and won. We're ready, willing, and able to do it again if necessary. President Trump's plans for mass deportations and arrests, his claims that he'll deport U.S. citizens and use the military to execute his plans, they're inhumane, they're illogical, and they're fiscally irresponsible. Immigrants are the backbone of our nation. Immigrants make America great. Immigrants make California great. California is home to nearly 11 million immigrants, 27% of our population, more than any other state in the nation, proudly so. Immigrants who are our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones, immigrants who bring in new ideas, innovations, and perspectives. It's no coincidence that California is the most diverse state in the nation and also the 5th largest economy in the world. That is not a coincidence. Immigrants drive California's workforce and economy. 1 in 3 workers in our state are immigrants. Over half of all workers are immigrants or children of immigrants. And I don't just say all this about our immigrant communities as the Attorney General, although it's obviously very important to me from a professional perspective, my role to enforce the law and make sure that rights and protections are honored. I also say this as someone who was born in another country, the son of an immigrant. My mother, Cynthia, born in the Philippines, raised in the Philippines, lived there till she was 28, came to the United States for the first time to go to grad school, rode a ship for 3 weeks to arrive in California and set foot in this great country for the first time in 1965. I was born in the Philippines. And right after I was born, my parents made a decision about me that was probably the most important decision ever made in my life. Made about me, not by me. Decision about where I would be raised. My parents asked themselves if they could raise me in the Philippines and ensure that I had democracy and freedom, human rights and civil rights, the rule of law and due process. And their answer was no. And they were right, because martial law was around the corner and a dictator was rising to power. By my first birthday, democracy was gone in the Philippines. Free and fair elections, gone. The dictator would arrest and imprison, torture, and kill political opponents. My mom was an outspoken political opponent. She did not want a dictator running the country that she loved, that she was born in and raised in. She wanted democracy for her people and freedom for the country. And so my parents brought me to California when I was 2 months old, doing what so many immigrants have done over the decades here in the United States, seeking a better life, seeking opportunity. And they also knew they had to work for that. They couldn't just sit back and hope and dream and wait. They needed to fight. And so they did. They started working for the United Farm Workers of America, organizing, fighting for more fairness, more justice for our workers who are feeding our state, feeding our nation. My mom lived as a lawful permanent resident for most of her adult life. She had a green card until she decided to become a U.S. citizen when I ran for my first competitive election. She wanted to vote for her son. And so from that day forth, I knew I would never get shut out in any election. I'd have at least one vote from my mother. My story is one that's told millions and millions of times. People coming here from far away with hopes and dreams, seeking opportunity, and that diversity, that calling, that what has brought people, so many people from so many backgrounds to our state, to our country. That diversity is our story, it's our strength, it makes us strong, it's our X factor, it's our special sauce. It's the reason California is the greatest state in the nation. And unfortunately, not everyone sees it that way. As the president moves forward with a destructive immigration agenda, including executive orders that seek to bar asylum for people arriving at the border, a lawful pathway to coming to the United States based on persecution and violence in their home country. As he seeks to suspend the refugee admissions program, another lawful pathway, and declare that migrant crossing at our border is a national emergency, including returning to an abhorrent policy that allows immigration officers to arrest immigrants in sensitive places, children studying in school, children, families practicing their faith and praying in church, patients seeking healing and medical care in hospitals. As all this happens, I'm here to reassure California's immigrant communities that they have my support and will continue to have my support and the full support of the California Department of Justice. That's what these regional convenings are all about. They're an opportunity for my office to share resources with community members and advocates, to listen to their concerns, to discuss our ongoing efforts and further opportunities for collaboration. Today we shared the many resources that we've put out in the recent weeks. We've been preparing for this moment, the inauguration of Mr. Trump, for months, putting out resources, clarifying rights and protections with guidance. We put out a broad Know Your Rights document. We put guidance on spotting and avoiding immigration-related scams, including notario scams, that we know are a major problem in communities right now. We put out information for public institutions like libraries, courthouses, public schools, and public health facilities on best practices in avoiding the use of state and local resources to support civil immigration enforcement. Resources to help ensure the educational rights of immigrant students and their families. And updated bulletins and new guidance to assist state and local law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, and defense counsel in complying with state law amidst changes coming from the Trump administration. Very importantly, these documents are available in English and Spanish and many other languages, including Chinese, Korean, Tagalog, Vietnamese. All can be found at our website, oag.ca.gov/care. We know all of this can be complex, can be daunting, which is why we're hosting these convenings, to clarify, to demystify, to help demystify the law, to raise awareness, to empower our communities and those that serve them. This knowledge, this information, knowing your rights is power, and it's helpful to make sure that rights are vindicated and honored. We're also here to listen, to understand what our communities need, and see where we can help, and the conversation today was helpful in that regard. As I close here, we've been holding convenings and issuing resources for several weeks, and I can assure you we've only scratched the surface. There's going to be much more to do in the days, weeks, months, years ahead. My team and I are actively reviewing all of the many deeply concerning executive orders that the President issued this week and other actions he's taking. We'll prosecute wherever we see the law broken, wherever we see rights trampled. You have my word on that. We will take the President to court if and when he breaks the law. I won't allow our President to willfully violate the rights of Californians, to trample on the Constitution, and get away with it. In the meantime, I urge immigrants and their families, state agencies, public institutions, elected officials, advocacy organizations, and nonprofits to reach out to our team, take advantage of our guidance, and share it with your networks. You're the trusted messengers. I know there's a tremendous amount of fear and anxiety and confusion, and I want to assure you, California DOJ is here to protect, defend, and enforce our state laws and our protections. We're here to represent all of California's beautifully diverse communities. As California Attorney General, I'm here for you. You can be sure that if Trump attacks the rights of immigrants, I'll be there. And I'll take action just as we have been. We already are, and we will continue. While we may be entering days and months and years of uncertainty, I find assurance in knowing that in California, progress will prevail. We're on a path to progress. We want to continue on that path. We don't seek to pick a fight with the President, but if he picks a fight with us and gets in the way of our progress, we will certainly defend ourselves. California is and will remain the beacon of progress it has long been. And let me make a few remarks in Spanish. No permitiré que el Presidente viole los derechos de los ciudadanos estadounidenses sin ninguna consecuencia. Le pido a los inmigrantes y sus familias que se comuniquen con nuestro equipo. Por favor, revisen la información que estamos publicando. Yo sé que hay una enorme cantidad de miedo, ansiedad y confusión. Quiero asegurarles, el Departamento de Justicia de California está aquí para proteger, defender y aplicar las leyes y protecciones de nuestro Estado. Representar a todas las comunidades diversas de California. Como fiscal general de California, estoy aquí para ustedes. Pueden estar seguros de que si Trump ataca los derechos de nuestros inmigrantes, tomaré acción. Ya lo estamos haciendo. Aunque estemos entrando en días, meses y años de incertidumbre, me tranquiliza saber que el progreso prevalecerá en California. California es y seguirá siendo el faro de progreso que siempre ha sido. Before I end, I want to thank my Civil Rights Enforcement Section, my CARE team, for all their important work. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.